Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and friends beyond the binary, it's time for the podcaster. I don't have the whole world in my hand, or I don't think I could, I couldn't even fit it in there. But I got a bunch of if I had a business, it would be, I've got a bunch of meandering swirls in a can. And I'm going to let them out and help you, swirly meanders, to put you to sleep. And sometimes I say stuff that doesn't even make any sense. And why is that? Well, it's time for the podcast. What if I had churls in my hand? You'd say, what's a churl? I'd say, well, you know what it is? It's time for Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. And if you're a regular listener, if you could pay attention through the credits, because these are the ways we keep the show free and a-going.
Also brought to you by our patrons. And I guess I've been figuring out, you know what? I'd just like to ask you if you're listening to this and you count on Sleep With Me on a consistent basis. I'd like you to think about paying for the show. Becoming a patron is a way to pay for the podcast. And I know that's kind of paradoxical and alliterative, paying for a free podcast. The purpose of Sleep With Me is to put you to sleep. But the reason I make it is because I really, truly believe you deserve a good night's sleep and everything that comes with it. Good health, the ability to live your life, to be successful at work, to be happy, to connect with your partner or your children or your friends or your family, and to not to have life be a drag. I make the podcast. That's really why I make it, is for you. And the way I do that is I put a lot of work into it, and it's a lot of work to keep the show coming in a variety of consistent episodes. And if you count on the show, if you rely on the show, please consider paying for it. It's a voluntary subscription. Even if you consider supporting the show at $1 a month, is it worth that to you? Then think about it. Think about paying for a free podcast. And all you need to do is go to sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron, Patron. There's thank you gifts and other stuff like that. But that's really what I'm asking for. I guess why beat around the bush if I know the podcast is valuable to you? And I'd like to ask you to think about paying for it. I guess it's that's how 90% of our funding comes from listeners just like you. So think about it. Think about paying for the podcast over at sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. Support it at whatever value and sacrifice you're willing, wherever that meets for you. But I'm here to put you to sleep. So think about it. All right, everybody, it's time for the Sleepy Supporter Zone. I want to thank Gail, Allison, Sarah, Jessica, and JR. For supporting sponsor Quip. They went to getquip.com/sleep and signed up. They shared about it online. They're all enjoying their Quips, just like I am. I just got my new refill pack in the mail. I still procrastinate. I got to change my brush head out, but thanks for supporting the sponsors. I really, really appreciate it. Getquip.com/sleep. Hey, everybody. I don't know if you've checked out any of our live shows yet. You know what our live shows, kind of people chill, they fall asleep, they watch kind of what it's like to have a slightly more interesting version of the podcast or very similar. So some people are engaged. So if you want to check out our live shows, I got tickets for our June show up, but I also got big news about PodX runs from May 31st to June 2nd in Nashville. And not only am I doing a Sleep With Me live show, I'm going to be on a bunch of panels there. And everybody's favorite podcast producer, podcast host, Stephen Ray Morris. I'm going to be on See Jurassic Right with Stephen. So you don't want to miss that either. You say, well, geez, I love Scoots. I love Stephen. I love Jurassic Park. I love the Percast. And you could get 10% off. What does it say? You could get 10% off any ticket type by going to podx.com/sleep or entering the code SLEEP at checkout. And you could always find out more information at sleepwithmepodcast.com/live show about all my appearances. Can't wait to see you there at PodX or here in Alameda. Thanks. Oh, Mystery Bard, a lot of people help out on this show. What about a little song, a little ditty about
Chris
that?
Posty poster son sounds like an earful. Wrote the theme song. Edits episodes. Carl W. the legend. Also edits episodes. Kenny, Scotty, and Jennifer. Runner. Eric and the team at Astound are on the website. I am the Mystery Bard. I do the lullabies, yeah. I do commissions at JonathanMann.net. Could be for Mother's Day. It's coming up soon. Or Father's Day. It's coming up too. Ooh. You see the kindness shine straight on through when the listeners form their own Facebook group. Keith, Stacy, Sarah, Julie, and Jennifer. These are your moderators. Get support Dear Scooter on Patreon. Buy the merch and support the sponsors. You can find anything you want at sleepwithmepodcast.com. And we're so proud that we could dance to be part of Nine Vale Presents. So now on with the show.
Thanks, Mr. Bart. I'm at Dear Scooter on Twitter and Instagram. That's where you can find me. And by the way, make sure you subscribe to the podcast, whatever app you're using. It's free to subscribe. It just means you get the episodes automatically delivered, or you get an update when a new episode comes out. Make it a little bit easier on you if you like. And that's it. What do you say we get on with the show? Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do with a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever is keeping you awake, whether it's thoughts you're thinking about, things on your mind. So thoughts, feelings, either physical sensations or emotions bubbling up, or both. It's one of those things. It could be whatever's keeping you awake. Travel, crows, not always, but crowing, or what are the other ones called? The cockadoodle doers. Whether it's on the inside or the outside. How's that sound? Or, for me, it's usually both. You say, or the mysterious wake-ups, or not so mysterious ones. Whatever's keeping you awake, I'd like to take your mind off of that. What I'm going to do, I got a safe place here. As I like to say on a regular basis, I smooth it, I pat it, I rub it down. I say safe place. I say BBD. I say BBD. How about this one? What if BBD, Belle Biv DeVoe, went on tour with BB-8, and I like to think about BB-8 and BB-88. Talk about Motown Philly being back again. You got more alliteration in there than if I knew how to define alliteration, I'd know what to do with. We'll try to ponder that. Maybe we could get BB-8 or BB-88 is the one that actually comes into the studio to talk. But let's see. What I'm going to do is I got that safe place, smooth and padded down. And those are references that cover like 3 generations maybe. You say, well, I don't know who BBD is, Scooch. I remember my dad wore BVDs. Doesn't have anything. I remember those ads too. Anyway, okay, so I'm going to send my voice across the deep dark night. I'm going to use lulling, soothing, creaky dulcet tones, pointless meanders, superfluous tangents, whatever that was. That was a natural one because I was trying to think of something. I don't know if that's considered like a mutter or a stutter, like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S. So it'd probably be something in between a mutter and a stutter. So a nutter, no. L, M, N, O, utter, maybe. L, M, N, O, P, putter. Yeah, I guess it was a putter. I was puttering around with my words. L, M, N, O, P, Q, quarter. I mean, my mind is quartered. Believe me. QRS, rudder, T, UV. Oh, wait, no, QRS. Okay, so sorry, I got distracted there. Let me use extra words. I'm going to go off topic. Now, if you're new, you might already be saying, and this is legitimate, you have a cause to say this. What in the heck is going on here? What is this person talking about? So let me give you a couple pieces of information. One, this kind of podcast is not, again, every word's got to have a definition. I would say passive. This podcast is best passively consumed, but it's best consumed somewhere between passively and actively. Like when you're chilling, You say, well, I'm not passive, but I'm not active. I'm chilling. You know, people used to chillax. I think that was invented by, like Judd Apatow and Seth Rogen, a couple other people whose names escape me because my mind just blanked. Where was I? Man, sometimes I get so lost in my own thoughts. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to be here. Oh, if you're new, well, this podcast doesn't make any sense, and neither do I. So kind of look at it like you're saying, what is that? And then I'll tell you the structure of the show. So then you have another piece of information. The show starts off with a few minutes of business. That's how we keep it free for everybody. Is the people that choose to take action. They help keep us free for everybody. That's a great system, huh? Then there's an intro. Now, the intro is around 12 to 13 to 14 to 15 to 11 to 17 to 16 minutes or so of me just puttering around. And you'd say, are you going to get to the point? Well, I'm kind of puttering. I think you don't really hear like the only things you hear about puttering are old-fashioned cars in cartoons and characters in cartoons. And I guess I'd say a putter is like a car that goes putter, 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 putter. That's a good name for a pet, too. We had Pitter and Patter. Remember? Regular listeners will remember or note that I like to encourage people to name their pets. It seems like I'm always naming pets that are like purchased at the same time or imaginary twin pets. So I said if you have two pets, you could name them Pitter and Patter. Now, let's just say, for example, you had two kitties. Are those what they're called? Kittens. And they were named Pitter and Patter. Or, bunny. Yeah, let's say bunnies. And then you got a third, maybe a couple of years later, name it Putter. And actually, Putter's the name of a character, one of my, on the movie Billie Jean. So that's also cool. So where was I? Okay, so I went off. Oh, I just putter around. That's what I was saying. So that's the intro where I kind of try to explain what the podcast is. Most listeners use it to ease into bedtime as they get ready for bed or as they're in bed, like getting ready to drift off. It's different every time, but it's familiar because they say, okay, here's what I'm a regular listener. I listen to 680 episodes of Sleep With Me. Here's what I know is going to happen in the intro. Scoots is going to talk. He's going to try to explain what the podcast is. He's going to use the words lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones, and pointless meanders. He's going to send his voice across the deep, dark night. And he'll putter. I guess I never called it that before, but he'll putter around. And then the episode may start and I may drift off. Tonight we'll be talking about, so that's the intro. And if you're new, you could say, when the heck is the Game of Thrones stuff going to start? Or when are you going to, and I say, well, it takes a while, just like getting into bed. I want to get you comfortable. I want to get you, I want to give you time to get cozy. Now, a few percentage, I can't remember what it is, like 2 or 3% of people just skip, they start the episode at like 18 or 20 minutes. And if you do that, there'll be some business between the intro and the show. Then we'll be talking about Game of Thrones. But if you don't watch Game of Thrones or you say, well, I'm not so sure about that. Don't worry. I'll be talking in the most meandering, indirect way about everything. Then we'll talk about some factoids that may have come up in the episode or that I'm curious about. Then we'll talk to Tom and Pounce. Then we'll have Parade of the Old Gods and the New. And then we'll have some thank yous. So that's the structure of the show. If you're new, also a couple of things. You don't need to listen to this podcast. This is the only podcast you don't have to pay attention to. You don't have to pay attention to, or you don't have to listen. You could say, well, I'm going to turn you down to a mutter, I prefer a mutter over a putter. And your stutter. And I'd say, okay, go ahead and turn it down a little if that works for you. But I'm going to be here to help him be here to keep you company. Whether you like a mutter or putter, or you say, well, okay, and I've had enough of your stutters. So that's the structure of the show. Oh, you don't need to listen to me. And there's no pressure to fall asleep. The reason the shows are over an hour, for the most part, is because I want to give you plenty of time. So there's no pressure. I'm going to be here till the end. So you can kind of say, well, I don't know if I'm ready to fall asleep. Maybe I'm just going to listen for a little while. and let Scoots keep me company. And I'd say, that's fine. Just drift off at your leisure. That's the way the show works. You fall asleep whenever you want. Maybe you don't even, ideally, you don't even know it. You're listening to me. You're wondering if I'm going to go back to pitter and patter and putter. And we need a character, Potter, pets, pitter, patter, and putter. And we need another word that potter, putter, pitter, patter, putter, Potter, prodigiously pets, pitter, and putter, and patter, pondering, puttering, pondering, putter, prodigiously patting, pitter, and patter, and putter. Or you could just say pitter, patter, putter, pitter, patter, and putter. Maybe that's not quite a tongue twister, but ideally the podcast is a bit of a mind twist, mind twister or whatever. Not a mind. I say that sounds a little bit. I say, yeah, more like a mind meander. So that's the structure show. That's what to expect. You can also expect me maybe in another episode to talk to BB-8 and BBD and see if we could get them to get working together. But yeah, that's all. I mean, I guess that's basically it. Like, and the reason I make the show, the reason I'm here is because I've always wanted someone when I couldn't sleep and when I can't sleep. I really just want someone to say, hey, that stinks. I can see, can't sleep there. How about if I sit here and tell you a little story? How about if I just keep you company and try to take your mind off stuff? Because I really think you deserve a good night's sleep. You deserve a nice place to rest and get comfortable. And I don't know what else I could do, but I could sit here and keep you company and tell you a little story about a TV show I watch. And you say, well, what's the TV show? Well, Game of Thrones. Oof, that sounds too exciting. Well, not when I talk about it. More, I call it Game of Drones. And really, I just drone on. I mean, if you're ever curious about, me not like a TV show, and like if you ever had the experience of watching a movie and then not watching it for 20 years and then 20 years later watching it again and you say, I watched that movie? That's kind of like when I talk about the TV show. If you see it after I talk about it or before, you say, Scooch, you were watching the same episode as me? I mean, the only time I thought of that was when you talked about all of the jawlines on all of the characters of the show. I mean, I definitely noticed, well, I guess everyone has a jawline in some sense. So, are you sure you were watching Game of Thrones, Scoots? You weren't watching like a channel where nothing was on? Nope, that was Game of Thrones, season 8, maybe. I mean, I'm pretty sure. I watched it 4 times. Oh, wow, you watched the episode more than once. It sounded like you maybe barely, like, are you sure you didn't watch it, like, on an airplane, on someone's airplane TV, like 4 rows in front of you without any audio? Yeah, no, I watched it, yeah. Oh, good. Well, I guess it's working then, because it put me right to sleep. So that's the show. I'm here to keep you company, take your mind off stuff as you drift off. I'm glad you're here. Give it a few tries if you're new. That's what almost everyone says. Here's the thing. I really want to help you fall asleep. It's that simple. I believe you, like I said, you deserve it. You deserve it. You need it. You need your sleep, and I want you to get it. If it doesn't work for you, I'm sorry. You could go to sleepwithmepodcast.com/no thank you to check out some other stuff. But really, that's it. I'm glad you're here, and I work very hard. I yearn and I strive, and I hope I can help you fall asleep. Thanks for coming by. And here's a couple of ways we keep the show going.
Also, I'd love it if you consider becoming a voluntary subscriber in 2018 or even before, and supporting the show on Patreon for the value you get out of this free podcast. Become a part of the show. Emily signed up because $5 is really an upgrade for the ad-free episodes. She already pays $5 for ad-free Pandora and pays extra on Hulu. So she sees it as a great deal. And she also believes in what we're doing here and knows the world needs it and considers this a small business, not like a big corporation. And Allison decided to support the show because it's consistently given me a full night's rest, and sleeping regularly has enormously improved the quality of my life. And I figured since you've done so much to help me, I can give what I can to help you in return. And that's really what the Patreon's about, like giving value back for what the podcast does for you. It really enables the podcast to keep going for everybody else. And starting at $5, you get 5 nights of content every single week in your own RSS feed, so you can listen to it in your podcast app. Think about it. Go to sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron.
Hey, everybody, it's Scoots here, and we're talking about season 8, episode 5 of Game of Thrones, The Bells, and I'm just firing up the old Roose Bolton, let's just say Roose Bolton fantasy fiction machine, kind of, because we're, what was it? I don't even remember what that machine did. This is more of an interesting thing. We're really solving a mystery this week. But before we get to it, there's a recap. Almost everything was from season 7, I believe, or season 8, excuse me, wrong season, except for some of the chatter that Dany's hearing, I think, in the last scene, and her, like, or the talking in her head, which may have been from every season. I mean, sure, you can find a great breakdown of that, or if that was from an episode, I'm not even sure. I don't know if that was like, that'd be interesting. I'm sure people are talking about this. You could check out any of the Game of Thrones podcasts. There's a ton of writing about it, which I have never done before this season, but now I've been consuming a lot of that stuff, just because they say, well, it's the last season. I got to make the most of it, make the toast of it, as Scoot says. But yeah, so I'd look that up to see, because I'll find out after, but I don't consume anything before I record. But yeah, I don't know if that was from an episode or that was like previously on, where the audio was from one place and the video was, or the film was from another place. And then we start with the opening credits, which, I mean, I gotta be honest, I'm really interested in what the credits next week are going to be like. But it's pretty much the same, except I noticed there's the pyres from Winterfell, and I said, was that their last episode or not? And Winterfell is still not in good shape. Again, I don't know if that was just from last episode 2 or not. And a lot of people, I get a lot of fan reaction from as soon as this episode ended airing of oh boy, Scoots. But little did everybody know, I was already on the case here, and I think I can really settle a lot of things of people kind of saying, what in the heck? We covered a little bit. I mean, so we talked about season 8, episode 3, kind of having a strong similarity to this 80s ski comedy. And again, sometimes this is like direct influence, sometimes it's indirect influence, and sometimes it's just collective, like the shifting sands of the collective unconscious. I don't know if anyone ever said that, but like, I don't know if Weiss and, like, I don't know if Game of Thrones is influenced by this or not. And I did it, I do these, well, anyway, I have connections, and not good connections, but I do have a lot of connections of people with interesting tastes. And I went to this screening that people were saying, do you think this is going to be, no, at the time, no one knew this. I didn't have anybody that had anything from Game of Thrones, but they said, I got this Italian, it's a team of animation live action filmmakers. And they kind of like make these, in Italy, they're making these Miyazaki style, I don't know, like this is an underground movie. And the reason I say that is because it's based on a lot of different IPs, intellectual property. And that's why it's not hasn't been released. Plus it was pretty avant-garde. But they said, the people that reached out to me said, I feel like this is like a Game of Thrones episode. It's after I did that one about the 80s movie, and it didn't have subtitles, and it was in it was in Italian, in some Japanese, but I didn't have anybody that was interpreting it or anything for me. And I was only able to see the movie once, but I did bring my notebook. So it makes it a little bit easier that it ended up, I saw this movie,
Then I saw the episode of Game of Thrones, and it was very much like so similar. And I think that's like where you say, okay, was there like how did this movie happen? When it's almost exactly like, again, just like the 80s movie, shot for shot, nearly shot for shot, like, I mean, different than the episode, The Bells, but not that different. Characters, everything. And the plot of the movie, which again, I was trying to say, they said, well, you can't really put it in English, but it was basically, it had a nicer title, but it was like Flowers in the Attic 2 was what I kept calling it. And they say, no, Scoots, it's not like, that's not exactly it. So there's this movie called Flowers in the Attic, also a book. Then there's a lot of stories where kids go through the wardrobe. Like, I don't think this was like exactly like a C.S. Lewis. But so this movie, I'm just trying to give you the backstory of the movie. It's profoundly influenced by the movie Flowers in the Attic, but not a direct reboot or sequel, but it is a sequel in some sense, because then it also mashes up with, I don't know, fantastical elements that you might see in a Miyazaki movie and stuff that you might see in a movie based on a C.S. Lewis book, but not exactly. Or just the characters of the family, kids, like, I don't know. You'll see as they kind of flush it out. I think there was one or two. Oh, what's that Disney one? Fantasia. So a lot going on. So I'll run through the movie as I like took these notes. It opened. Oh, that was I already said that. So like, and again, I don't know the characters' names in the movies because it like, but it opens with Varys, who in the movie kind of plays this uncle figure. And, it's because this movie's about these gardens. But you'll see that he's writing about the true heir to the garden. He's writing this a letter about the gardens and the keeper of the gardens. Then a child comes in who's this little bird. And again, my retelling of it may be inaccurate. So if you've seen the movie, you're in a rare company of a handful of people. But so the child comes in, she says, like, this is what I was able to pick up. The garden queen isn't sleeping. And Varys says, Uncle Varys, or whatever you want to call him in this, says it was all worth it. Like, Varys is a lover of growing things. He gives a serious look. It is all worth it. Serious look. Then we see Tyrion watching out a window. And Tyrion, you'll see, we'll get into like who Tyrion is in this movie, not the Tyrion from Game of Thrones, but I'm just using, because it is just a eerie shot-for-shot remake. He's watching Jon Snow pull up on this duck pond, and he's got a serious look. And now Jon Snow is one of the kids that went through the wardrobe into this world. And Arya is another kid, but the other kids, Bran and Sansa, even though they're not in this episode, they were part of it. Like, because just in case there's another version of the movie that corresponds to next week. So Jon Snow and Varys is waiting for Jon Snow. So they start talking off board. They come across this, they were on a rowboat in a duck pond. And they talk about that Varys is basically like, you could be the king of the gardens, Jon Snow. And he kind of uses a little bit of a patriarchy kind of angle. And what does this say? John Kids Through Almanac story. I don't know what that means. Oh, John is one of the kids that went through the Armor. But he could be the garden king, Varys says. Patriarchy rules. He says, you might be a right ruler. And he says, I know you could be the garden king. And he also says, what I tell you now is true. And Jon Snow wants nothing to do with leadership. So we kind of realize that this is very much like the episode. He says, she's my queen. And he says, bye, back boy, bye. And Tyrion's watching. He knows what's happening. He's a smart guy. And he goes into another room. He says, Your Grace. He walks in.
And this is where we start to see the parallels between the movie Flowers in the Attic and this. And if you haven't seen the movie Flowers in the Attic, don't, because it's a movie about these twins, very much, again, like Jamie and Circe, that are a brother and sister. They're older, like 20 years old or something. They're also, I don't know if in the movie they're in love, but because I've been so influenced by Jamie and Circe. And they're watching their siblings, which in this was Tyrion. And well, I don't know, was there another Lannister? I can't even remember anymore. But so it doesn't matter in this case. And they live in the movie, The Flowers in the Attic. They live in a mansion, but they can only stay in the attic. And their mom's going through something, but she's kind of also like very much like Targaryens. Their mother and their grandmother are very much like Targaryens, even though they're Lannisters. Oh boy, this really complicates trying to explain Flowers in the Attic in a sleep podcast inside a Italian like anime. You know, this is complicated stuff. It's good for sleep, I guess. But the reason I bring up Flowers in the Attic here is because even though Daenerys' character, which we'll call her Dany in this, in the movie, she's the self-proclaimed Queen of Dragons. I mean, no, that's the Game of Thrones. She's the queen of flowers, or the garden queen. But they have this moment, so in the movie, the Italian movie, that's Flowers in the Attic too, like really the Targaryen, the getting carried away Targaryenness, really like in Flowers in the Attic was not Dany's family, but the Lannisters, which I know is so tough to follow. But as soon as we see a look on her face, it harkens back to the mom and the grandmother in the movie Flowers in the Attic, which you say, wait a second, they were, because again, this isn't about Game of Thrones. But again, you're saying, she's got that same look, which is a look of like a door without hinges, I guess you'd say. As a way to put it, like indirectly. So just her look, if you've seen Flowers in the Attic, as soon as you see Dany, even in the Game of Thrones or in this movie, she's the Queen of Gardens in the movie, though, you say, that's like the grandmother in Flowers in the Attic, even though, so it's more like a filmic technique and, you know, foreshadowing, no doubt about it. Okay, so flashback to looking Flowers in the Attic. They say the garden has been betrayed. And she says, Jon Snow. And he goes, no, Varys. And she goes, no. You told Sansa. Or you heard this. He heard it from you, who heard it from Sansa, who heard it from Jon. Rumors bother me every day. Just need some time, to get away. And she goes, spreading secrets because of Sansa. You got played, dude, by Sansa, who's not in this movie, but she's one of the kids from the wardrobe, which, again, their just influence is different because they came to this world through a wardrobe. And they claim to be on the side of growing things and flowers everywhere and balance. The Stark kids, we'll call them in this, and now that she used to be the queen, she was the queen of the garden, right? But slowly Daenerys is becoming a queen of flowers, only, or maybe, I don't know. But he says, my intentions were good. And he says, we all want a garden of growth. And she said that one of them says, it doesn't matter now. No. Then there's another close-up. You see the parallels with, again, Flowers in the Attic, hingeless doors. Also, like, people would say, you just say, okay, this isn't, like, Dany's not in a grounded state. I think we could say that. And maybe, she's, I don't know. So then we go back to Varys, who in this movie is writing letters, again, saying, oh, wait, maybe I shouldn't have wrote that down. Maybe he was writing in his diary. Takes off his rings, which I think in the movie, was symbolic of him knowing,
that he was going to be off. Then Grey Worm comes. He's one of the garden guards in this movie. And they go down to this beach by the duck pond. And Danny, John, and Tyrion are there. John's hands are behind his back, I think, just standing. That's how he likes to stand. And Tyrion says, it was me, man, to Varys. I told on you. And Varys says, well, I hope I'm wrong. That he goes, but look at, I mean, he doesn't say this, but we know as the audience. You see, look at that. Don't you remember the movie Flowers in the Attic? Because Tyrion was one of the kids that needed flowers in the attic anyway, or whatever the movie was. And I haven't seen the movie Flowers in the Attic ever in a clear-headed state. Either I was really young, or I was and I never seen the movie straight through because it's just, I don't know. So I should probably stop referring to it too, because, but so let's see. Tyrion, he says it was me. This is like how you get to this point. You say, okay, what's more sleepy, this episode of Game of Thrones or you say Flowers? Okay, so hope I'm wrong. The children raised in worlds? What does that say? All children raised in worlds? I don't know what that means. Does that, my handwriting is, I hope I'm wrong. All children raised in worlds. I mean, basically, everyone wants kids raised in a world with great growth and gardens. Also, maybe this I was saying that these are all like kids that grew up, like they came to this world as children. Even though they're adults, they're still acting like children. There's a nice arm touch in there. And then Danny says, Lord Varys, I, queen of the garden queen, first of my name, break her chains, sentence you to be kissed by my giant goose. And she has this giant goose she rides, which is gross. Don't get kissed by a goose. It's a pretty, because you see, I don't know where that beak's been. I don't it's also symbolically there, like a sign of like that you have to leave, like that people like, no longer, when you've been kissed by a goose, they actually call you a goose kisser. And you have to leave the area immediately. You can never return. And so Varys is kissed by a goose, and then it's like they ignore him. Danny, then Danny's like in a room. Grey Worm's there. Yeah, they're kind of talking about Missandei, who, like, before the movie, so that was her best friend. And one of her main advisors that helped her kind of see the balance of weeds and flowers and other growing things. By one of the two twins. So Missandei, the sister. Okay, so to get back to the Lannisters, in this case, to make it easy to describe. The Lannisters are Jaime and Cersei, who were the twins, and then Tyrion's one of the younger siblings. Now, Cersei she grew this giant, so she still lives in the house where they lived by herself, like with her advisors and stuff. And I think, I don't know, this is just when the movie starts. And around her house, this giant mansion is this giant garden. A lot of it is protected by what we would call weeds, like thistles, prickers, cactuses, whatever, the other stuff, like prickly stuff. Also, there's flowers in there, too. But on the outside, it just looks like it's a bunch of pricker bushes and stuff. What was my point there? Oh, like she goose kissed. I mean, she is a different thing other than a goose. But kissed Missandei, who made her, like, she had to leave the gardens forever and go be an adult. I think, like, that's the other thing. If you get kissed by a goose, you have to go live a grown-up life, even though you're a grown-up. Because the thing is, it's a garden of plenty. So as long as it's in balance, which I guess none of them realize. They say, well, I'm an adult. I'm a kid in an adult's body. I don't know these scientific things. I don't know. I'm trying to put words in the characters' mouths now. But they're talking about Missandei, who is now, in the adult world. She left the kids to the world, the garden world, the garden realm. Boy, by one of those twins, by the sister. Jon Snow comes in. This is like 1630 in the HBO app. There's a great, amazing long pause. And then Danny says, "Didn't I tell you your sister's a blabbermouth?" And she goes, "I get no love around me. Only people worried about getting kissed by a goose." And he says, "I love you. You're my queen. Queen of my garden, and the garden in my heart." And she says, "Only a queen?" He goes, "Well, also technically you're my aunt," which again is convoluted because they came through the armoire, which makes me think everybody in this whole episode, the whole series is somehow related because she's like, anyway, but there's this great whisper. She says, "All right then," after he won't kiss his aunt. They put iron whisper. Her whisper is like iron level. And she says, "Let it be goose kisses." Then, or people worried about being kissed by the goose. Then we're in the former throne room. The queen of the gardens, or garden queen, or whatever. Tyrion's trying to talk to her. He says, "Okay, again, we want to review this. Even in other worlds, there's IPM, integrated management of things that aren't good for growing things." And he goes, "We just happen to have the pleasure of being in that situation already." He goes, "The weeds are balanced. They're a place where things live that deal with the things that would mess up the flowers and the fruiting and the vegetabling." And he goes, "Whose fault is it to be weeds?" But meanwhile, Danny's just not there, like not 100% present anymore in her understanding of the balance of gardens and growth. And she says, "Mercy is our strength." She goes, "For the future of gardens, people shouldn't have to go through gardens and get pricked. This is pretty simple, or worry about ivies or anything." I put long story here for the future of gardens. They put long story. So Cersei, I think I already explained this. Yeah, here's my explanation. Sister Cersei in this movie has her own garden around the mansion, pricker bushes, and more. So Cersei's basically like, we're going to weed every weed in the garden, starting with the garden around this mansion. And this Cersei, because she's calling herself the Queen of the Gardens, too. And, she's just this Queen of Weeds, more like Queen of Weeds. And a couple other things. People are like adult children adult children will just say are living in all of this. And they actually have here's the thing. I've done a lot. When I was a kid, we used to spend a lot of time in pricker bushes. And so you might say this is ridiculous. And we never did this exactly because we spent a lot of time there. But you learn where you could crawl through the pricker bushes without getting scraped. You just naturally learn that. Because we had an entire yard next to our house. That was the backyard of our neighbors that was never trimmed to anything. And it was 98% pricker bushes. And we still found a way to get through there and play in there, and even like places like where you could live. I mean, we didn't, but we said, "Oh, when we move away from home, we're going to live in here." But if you weren't there, what you do is you attach bells to the places where you could crawl through and shake them. That's what they do in this movie, which you said is brilliant. Oh, if you hear a bell ring, head towards it. You'll know that's a safe spot to crawl through. Or maybe even walk through. And Tyrion says, "Well, how about this? If we decide we're not going to weed the gardens, the bells are a sound of safety, so we'll just ring all the bells and everybody will know, okay, gardens and the weeds are back in balance." And Cersei will probably give up because she has to. It's common sense. So that's where the bells kind of came from in this one. Also, there's like again, this is where it starts to get a little fantastical. There are flowers
and pricker bushes, and you realize that they're like Fantasia. So they're not, it's a little bit, so it's more acceptable. They're still vegetative, but they walk around and stuff. Because you see, they don't have eyes or mouths. So we identify with them a little bit less than something that's fully anthropomorphized. Also, and then Cersei, or Khaleesi says, Danny says, also your brother was busted. He was trying to sneak back to your sister's house. And she says, next time you fail me, it'll be the last time you fail me. You say, holy mackerel. Queen's comic. Queen Cersei is getting all the kids behind the pricker bushes. So we see her there. A lot of kids are berry picking. Onion Knight waits. We see the Onion Knight. That's, what's his name? It's not Ser Jorah. Come on, Scoots. But one of my favorite characters who's, my brain doesn't always work right. But, so he's waiting, for Jon and Tyrion. And, he says in daybreak, we're going to swoop in there and, start pulling weeds. Nobody's going to like it. I don't know what that says. Jon and Tyrion. Oh, an onion. Then we see the Hound and the Arya, and they're on a mission. They say, we're going to go in. We're just going to ask her to leave the house, and then the whole thing will be solved with Cersei. Then Jaime goes to Tyrion goes to see this Jaime character in the movie, exactly like the show, in a tent, 2330. Before he goes into the tent, there's a brief comic interlude. Which with just translations, you could see that 2330 or something. And then there's this brief comedy between Jaime and he says, how'd they find you? He goes, my golden hand, dude. He goes, I'm not the brightest. He goes, I'm the looker, And he goes, oh yeah, I forgot. He goes, yeah, he goes, I didn't realize you're the brains. I'm the looks. Now, they don't know about Arya and the Hound going to convince Cersei. So he says, go convince Cersei, because we need butterflies, we need weeds, we need birds, we need grubs, we need everything. He goes, do you even know about soil erosion? And he goes, I'm the looks, man, not the brains. He goes, no one, between Cersei and Dany, no one even believes that, he goes, this is soil erosion issue too. Water retention. He goes, do you know anything about rootstock? He goes, I'm the looks. He goes, sorry, I'm just going off on a tirade that Scoots planted in my, this was what the movie, so there's a little bit of a gardening message. He goes, kids eat berries. Everybody eats the berries. Jaime says, I give up. And then Tyrion kind of comes up with he goes, go run away together. He goes, go get your sister and your true love, start a new life. He goes, I'll tell you where the armoire is. You could go back out through the armoire. There's a mansion on that side too. And he says, you could start a new life there. Do it. He goes, but before you do, ring all the bells. So again, this was one point in the movie and actually show I didn't quite get. I was like, but if you're ringing the bells, like when it's not 100% guaranteed, because they thought they were supposed to ring the bells when they say, hey, we give up, Cersei's gone. But he says ring the bells no matter what, kind of. That's how I took it. And he says, you're going to get in a lot of trouble with the Queen of Gardens for this one. He goes, it'll be a fair trade. Also, the numbers constantly change. It goes from millions to thousands or something, but whatever. He says, I owe you for, he goes, dude, like we already been through a lot in that first movie. So you helped me deal with mom and grandma. You got me through it. And it's really a loving moment. He says, I love you. He says, I love you too. So that's it. Then we see the duck pond outside of Cersei's house has this giant duck pond covering a lot of, like 50% of the backside of the house. And in it are all these Canadian geese, which always bug people that come to, like, they're protective because they say no one's going to come bug this side of the geese pond with the geese there. No one's going to bother because the geese will bug them. Then we see a bunch of kids or adult kids getting ready to defend the pricker bushes with berries and stuff like that. Then we see the moving pricker bushes and stuff getting ready to defend things. Then we see this cool Ari and Hound moment where they're rolling they're already into the these weed gardens, I guess we could call them for shorthand. Even though there's flowers and birds and everything in them. Then Jamie comes in. He kind of ungloves his gold hand and tries to get it. Then we see the Golden Company who are, again, they say, we're here to protect the weeds, man. We can't, if they're just working there, so they actually believe in the cause of garden balance. They just believe in they say, we're supposed to be here protecting this garden. And people are like, it's not a garden. It's just overgrown weeds. And they say, you don't know what's inside. Tons of birds and, forest friends. So there's a showdown or a stare down with the people that work for the Garden Queen, who are like the snow kids and other kids that have gone through the wardrobe. Then the garden guards, and then other people from other realms that the Garden Queen has liberated. Now, she liberated them from being forced to work, keeping gardens in balance, where she said that they were working and not getting paid. But that part gets kind of forgotten about. So we see all the other kids. Everybody's getting ready. If you open her to the bells, call it off. Tyrion again says to Jon, if you hear the bells, call it all off. Don't weed this whole garden, man. Can't do it. Because Jon's just still he says, I'm following orders of the queen, man. I think maybe it is a good idea to at least weed away most of the stuff guarding the greater garden that Cersei's hiding behind. Tyrion and Onion Knight share a look. And then we see Cersei. She looks out from the house, the big windows of the house over her whole garden. The garden part with the flowers and the trim, the landscaped garden and the weeds protecting the landscaped garden. Close up a house is something. Two birds. What does that mean? Jamie tries to get in. Oh, we see two nice birds. They kind of become a thematic thing. And one of the birds has a toy in one of its things. And they just kind of I don't know, they're kind of there to just tell a extra story of the plight of two birds caught in the middle of this garden where every kid is acting like a kid. And instead of saying, let's just protect the balance of this whole thing, we hear a little teaser, Reigns of Castamere, because everybody tries to get in the house once they know or once they suspect this garden's about to get weeded. Some of us are weeds, but some of us are like Bernie, the butterfly. We might say, hey, I'm a caterpillar on the leaf of a weed. Yeah, what about me? Then I say, I hear you. This is where this really paid off. And especially in Miyazaki styling. And let's see, Reigns, Castamere, Cersei, Tyrion. Oh, so we're a series of, there's a lot of shots of facial reaction shots. And really strong acting, silent acting. I mean, in the animation, I guess it was not acting in what I was watching, but I was comparing it to the Game of Thrones episode. There's wind. We see the geese pond or the duck pond again. The geese are waiting. Then the wind kind of picks up. One of the head geese. There's even people in swan boats down there too. Which I didn't notice originally. Yeah, kind of geese keepers or whatever. And what does that say? Birchers. Okay, so then, so Euron. So Cersei's new boyfriend, Euron's down there in the geese boat. And he looks up. Now, Cersei, she has that giant goose, right? And all of a sudden we see her goose coming down, and then we hear this sound, and it's the sound of a friggin' mower, like a lawnmower, which she had gone, not just a spoiler, she had gone through the armoire back to the modern world, got a lawnmower, then came back. So obviously for a world that's never dealt with a lawnmower that's full of weeds and flowers, the geese don't like that, so they fly away. Euron jumps out of the swan boat, and the swan boat gets lawn mowed. And Euron is in a duck geese pond, which is just like gross anyway. So the geese are gone, they fly away. Birchers, I don't know what that means. Then we have a standoff between the garden guards, the people from the armoire team, everybody, they're waiting against the Golden Company, who again, like I said, the one dude, he's like, was like one of the kids, like original investors or something, I don't know. So they're waiting, everybody looks uptight, they're exchanging looks, and then they start hearing sounds, and they say, what is that sound? Especially, again, in a world that's never heard a lawnmower sound is distinctively out of place. And especially, like, when you listen to it, you know, it makes a sound as it's going. You say, what is it doing, even? Grey Worm steps forward. Nobody likes it. Runaby. It's a Howard rundown. Okay. Oh, the horses don't like the sound even. Of course they don't. Who would like the sound? I mean, I don't know. I mean, a human in our world, at a distance, lawn mowing sound to me, at the right time of day, is relaxing. Not all the time or not too close, or when I'm recording a podcast. Well, I don't have any lawn near me. So usually there's not much mowing going. Anyway, so horses don't like it. I don't know what runaby means. Oh, mowing begins to commence. It's on. So, running. They say, okay, let's, I think this is when it starts. It says it's time to weed the gardens. Yeah, so they start running towards the castle. As Cersei, like, just mows straight through a pricker bush, like, it opens the door right into the greater garden. Oh, yeah, the dude from Harvard tries to run. He was the leader of the Golden Company. He says, what the heck? I don't even believe in this cause. And Grey Worm sends him a goose's kiss. Carter of the week. I don't know. It's time to weed the garden. So first, okay. So, but they're very specific at first. They're going after prickers, thistles, nettles. I forgot about them. Cacti, which is cacti. If you're going to even weed the cacti, I don't know. They're not even technically weeds, but they're weeding those things. And you say, okay, well, some of the flowers might get accidentally stepped on, and the birds will get away. Like, so you say, this isn't great, but okay, well, they're just going to, maybe this isn't, maybe there was a more buildup. Like, maybe they're just going to weed away the prickers and the prickly things and any itchy stuff. And then Cersei will leave the house, and then they'll say, okay, now we'll restore the balance. I really am the keeper of the gardens. The Garden Queen. I'm nothing like Cersei and Jaime and Tyrion's grandmother and mother in the movie, the first movie that's so almost nearly unrelated to this. But then we see Cersei sees everything, but she does not see. Like, she might see it with her eyes, but her dissonance, she's on full dissonance. She hears, but she does not hear. I mean, so she was looking at an empty garden, like a mowed swan boats and no geese, and then watching a mower just mow through, watching her garden get weeded. I mean, especially pricker bushes. I mean, this is like a serious mower, Hears but does not hear. Tyrion walks into the city like, holy cow, this is also Tyrion's, from a lot of people's perspective, say this is just a sloppy job too. Because if you're going to do it right, you wouldn't just mow a pricker bush, right? You'd trim it down and then dig it out, not just be mowing over it. It makes a big mess.
So Tyrion walks through, and it's just a mess. You see, well, these are just Rickers mowed everywhere and trampling. Nothing's been done. He goes, you're supposed to do this with time, to bail you. He says, oh, boy, this is a really rushed, botched job. Towards it. He walks into the city or towards it, I was wondering. Then we see Clegane and the housekeeper of the mansion, whose name is Clyburn, yeah. And he says, Your Grace, to Cersei. Again, I'm watching this in Italian, so it's a good thing to have all this Game of Thrones names to throw around. He says, I think, and she goes, don't worry, we got surrounded by pricker bushes. He goes, there's no pricker bushes left. She goes, I got those geese that hiss and bug people, and they even poop on people. And he goes, there's no geese left. And she goes, there's nothing to worry about. And he goes, yes, Your Grace. Then Cool Walk, irate hands on Wednesday. Hands of Wednesday. Heart of Weeds. Cool Walk into the heart of the weeds. Okay. Okay, so we have like John, Onion Knight, and everybody, and they're doing some cool walking into the heart of the last weeds. So they've been weeding a lot. And there's this last group of kid adults that are defending the weeds with throwing berries and stuff like that, and swinging nettles and stuff like that. But they stop because they say, well, if you're going to, it looks like you're about to weed out. It's a little bit of like a tense standoff. And then Tyrion's waiting for the bells to ring. Jaime's running. We don't really know where he's going. Let's see. On walks. Oh, no, he's not running. I said, dude, he's walking. I put WTF. Cersei's waiting up in the mansion. Waits on something. I can't read it. France and press. And then the giant goose lands, with the mower still running, but not open. So just the engine's running, but it's not in gear, facing everybody. But just hearing this giant goose, which can squawk with the mower. So all the kids, they say, forget it. We're not going to go ahead, take the garden, get Cersei out of here. We're done. They say, we'll just get out of this garden here. And you can finish weeding it, I guess, or we'll weed it, whatever. And then there's reaction shots, like a stay shot, like a long shot of the sky shot of the garden. And then Cersei, then Jaime, then Tyrion. Come on, Tyrion's like, come on, ring the bells, man. And then we cut to start getting close-ups of Daenerys, the Queen of the Gardens, and we see again, I guess it's only, I think they probably did something, but if you've seen the first flowers in the attic, you say, holy cow, that she is become one with the grandmother and the mother from that movie. The grandmother, I think, is the one. Then we see Tyrion, what does that say? Hound or hands? Fox. Oh, I think that's more of the goose. Daenerys. Then we see a close-up of her face again. And then we see real close-ups of Cersei and Dany's faces. Cersei's mouth is open one way. Tyrion's mouth's open another way. And Dany's mouth's open another way. Just good acting. Good animating in the movie I saw. Yeah, so we go Cersei, Dany, Cersei, the bells, Tyrion, the bells ring, and then we see Jon do, whew, I can breathe here. I'm watching it live right now, but I don't know. Oh, yeah, then it's too late. He says, Jon says I can breathe. Cersei closes her eyes. I guess this is it. I lost my attempts to be the queen of this garden. Then we see Tyrion. Then we just notice that the bells are getting on Daenerys' nerves, where you could just see by her the animating. She says, these bells are making my ears, bugging my ears. Stop the bells. And then she says, well, I'll just cover up the bells with the sound of the mower. And then she says, I'll just mow all the, because she doesn't know where the bells are in the, in the garden. So she says, I'm just going to start mowing all the like anything. She just starts mowing, like she just got bell overload, right? And everybody realizes it's like you're not even mowing in straight lines or like you see, especially with your mowing with a flying swan, it's just not a good idea. So Tyrion, we get a Tyrion, oh no, look, then a John, oh no, look. Then a Grey Worm look that just says, I loathe weeds. And anyone that support weeds, like that, the Grey Worm is with Daenerys at this point of like, let's just rid the world of all weeds, even at growing things, that could be a weed. You know, you've seen this progression in regular humanity or in movies. You see, no, that could be a weed too. You know, once that starts, so then they say, cut it all down, man, or everything. It's all weeds. There could be hiding weeds. And Jen says, no, you can't do that. And then we go through Grey Worm, like in slow-mo, just cutting mostly weeds down, but some plants. At this point, the flowers are still like mostly safe, but then some flowers start getting cut down. Then we see Danny mowing away. Then we see the city getting mowed. Or whatever, the giant garden. Then we see Cersei looking on, then a long shot. Then we see Tyrion. Then we see the Onion Knight telling like the kids that used to help with the garden, say, "Hey, let's get out of here," because you know, like when a bricker gets mowed, you could still get. You know, he goes, "Let's go." So he's helping. We see more mowing. We see Jon Snow. There's like a shot of him from behind. It's slow. He's slow walking. He's totally stunned. Like he's going to be a double RF. And it's like, he's still kind of doing a little hero. They give him a little hero moment. Then we see Danny, then a long mowing shot. Cersei watching. She says to herself, maintain composure. Like you could feel her saying that to herself, maintain proper posture and composure, even as your entire garden. For her, because she says, when I was a kid, I used to dream about getting out of this mansion and having this garden be mine, protected. Then we see Jamie. Oh, this is another WTF. All of a sudden, Jamie's on the beach outside the goose pond, which that one I just said. And then I think he rang the bells, but I'm not sure. And believe me, it's still that part had already passed, but somehow I'm behind the episode. Oh no, no, okay. Well, the part where the bells got rang, I'm like exactly with the episode right now. Jon Snow slow walking. I guess I'm 3 minutes longer than the episode though somehow. So then Euron. Oh, so Euron. So Jamie comes out of the duck pond and Euron's there. So Cersei's new boyfriend. And Jamie says, great, man. Like, we both love Cersei. Let's go get her out of there. And he doesn't tell him about going through the armoire, but he was about to. And he goes, no, man. I'm her boyfriend, period. He goes, he goes, I have a goose to kiss you. And then she'll never, then it's over. Then all brings Goose House. So then Jamie says, what about a thumb war for who gets kissed by a goose? Something. Oh, Cersei's, she's still looking on. And Clyburn says, it's time to go. And she goes, it's fine. And then we see a tear on her eye. She goes, no. And he goes, yeah, let's go to Greg, because there's another place we could go. He doesn't know about the armoire. He knows about another place that's totally safe, he says. And then we even see outside that like not only is Cersei using oil, now she's using propane, like she has this propane hookup on her mower or something. Kind of like that's the wildfire in the Game of Thrones episode. And this one, it was a little bit different. That was built into the mower.
shot of the city. Then we see Jamie and Euron, and they go back and forth. They're playing thumb war. But meanwhile, Euron has like a goose like under his shirt. So his goose reaches up and kisses Jamie. But Jamie turns his face, so he actually gets kissed on the shoulder. And so technically, Jamie says that doesn't count as I wasn't kissed on the face by a goose. So they keep doing a thumb war. And meanwhile, the goose is still trying to kiss Jamie. So Jamie again gets kissed on the shoulder again. But Jamie makes this move where he wins the thumb war, and then the goose kisses Euron in the face. So Jamie says, you lost the thumb war, and you got kissed on the face by a goose, dude. And Euron goes, well, I had you kissed twice by a goose. No one, Cersei's going to smell the goose on you, dude. And he goes, well, I got to go, save my sister and my true love. Bye. Yeah, go home. Too many. Okay, where's this? Okay, no, I'm ahead of myself here. Another king for you. Off to my sister. He said, I mean, yeah, I don't, he says, I'm the man who had a goose kiss Jamie Lannister's both his shoulders, or something like that. I'm the man whose goose kissed Jamie Lannister. That's what he says. Again, I think, because I don't speak Italian. So then we see again maybe more of the mowing. Then we have the Hound and Arya. And the Hound goes, listen, Arya, do you hear that mowing? There's too many weeds. There's too much. He goes, you know what's next? She's going to mow the house down. And Arya goes, it's not possible to mow a house down. He goes, it is. That's why in the animated version, they made those attachments for the mower. And he goes, she's on a giant flying goose. Go home and be with your family. Maybe go back through the armoire. I don't know. But don't stay here. Don't be like me. Because this isn't like the movie with King Louis. You don't want to be like you. I don't want to be, you don't want to be like me. And she goes, huh? And then she goes, maybe he's right. And she goes, Sandor, thank you. And then let's see, stars, mowing, going on. Maybe more mowing, slow motion or something. And then we see Cersei's trying to leave with, now one of her main peeps, other than the housekeeper, is the old bellman, or the doorman, who again, there's also this like mashup with this Mary Shelley book, I'll just put it that way. And so, his brother's a bit like a character from one of those books, even though he's like the doorman, the house, and it's Hound's brother, Sandor's brother, Gregor. And he goes, Your Grace, which is great. Then there's other people that try to, meanwhile, the house is getting mowed at this point. He says, hello, big brother. So, Granger waits? No, thanks. Oh, they tell Sir Gregor, they say, hey, we're in control of you. But Sir Gregor even knows. He says, the house is getting mowed, dude. He doesn't speak at all, and again, it was in Italian anyway. But basically, he says, no, thanks. Cersei says, I'm leaving then. And then we have the showdown, which everybody's calling before this happened, the Clegane Bowl. After, I have no idea. Maybe they called it the stairs dance or something. I don't know. Because they're going to have one-on-one, thing. Foothold, I don't know what that says. Because they bust out these nerfs, like where they're trying to get nerf darts to stick on one another. Yeah, Cersei and Jamie are reunited back in the map room. So back in the attic, in this case, in the show, in the map room, in the movie, in the attic, you say, holy cow, holy deep meaning. Where it all happened, where brother and sister supported, true love. I mean, maybe don't get it, don't get it, but it is it's still true love, or seems like it. House was made of weeds, because so even the ivy, I think that's what triggered Danny was that the house is covered in ivy. Because you say, why would someone mow a house? I say, good point. I forgot to mention the house is ivy covered. So then the Clegane Bowl is going on, which is basically like a Nerf competition, Nerf dart competition. And then you have Arya. She's trying to leave to get out of there, but like, it's like hard to find your way, like when there's mowing going on and like weeding with propane weeding and just kind of like mud, mud, everything. It's all getting everything mowed. Even now at this point, even the flowers are getting mowed by like it's pure weed everything. It's like at this point, don't even leave the grass because Danny considers it, like people just have whatever you call it. I've never heard of this happening because it's so tedious. Weeding. No one ever says you really got carried away weeding. I guess they do. They say that wasn't a weed, that was a flower. Not like, wow, I was having so much fun weeding, I just couldn't stop. So this is why it's fiction, and especially this avant-garde stuff. A poached shot worth having? No, that's not what that says. Let's see, everything getting mowed. Poached shot with hound, with having. Hay fever. Oh, so then Arya starts sneezing. That was one thing I noticed. Parallel shots with the hound and Arya. That's what that says. So basically, Arya's sneezing. She can't see because her eyes are watering because there's so much stuff in the air. And the hound's getting pelted with Nerf darts from his brother. Yeah, but then Arya gets help. A woman reaches out, she says, with her daughter. And she says, here's a tissue. Here's some tissues. The hound kind of reaches to the world of absurdity, which I guess is kind of a way of kind of saying, like of commenting, maybe it's a meta commentary. I don't know, because he just starts laughing at the ridiculousness, because everything's sticking to him, nothing sticks to his brother. And he says, typical man, no Nerf darts stick to you because you sweat oil or something. So basically, he's covered in Nerf darts. His brother's actually pulling on the Nerf darts, which can leave like a Nerf dart hickey. And so then, let's see, she gets help. Here's a tissue. Hound goes absurdus. Then we see Jon Snow. I guess we just see Jon Snow kind of reacting to all the mowing that's going on. More of the propane wildfire in the Game of Thrones show, propane weeding going on. Let's see, starts a teaming Satharnan fallback. At some point, John finally realizes, like, all of the people from my part of the, like, that came through the armoire with me or from the world of the armoire, we should have never gotten involved with this other move. He says, let's go back to the north. But everybody has weed fever. I guess you'd call it that, weed fever. You say, why'd you weed everything? Well, I call it weed. It's a bit like, remember when Scoots talked about getting spree fever? What's spree fever? Have you ever eaten like 3 sprees in a row? What's a spree? Kind of like it's a sweet tart with a candy coating on it. Okay. And if you have too many in a row, or sweet tarts, or maybe even other things like that, do you ever get feverish from having those in a row? Wow, that's so this is like that with weeding. You do so much weeding, you get you act feverish at least. Oh yeah, because John says fall back, flowers are getting ruined too. At some point, even the weeders are going to get weeded. Yeah, which we already start to see. Arya took a little nap. I think she sensed the hound was getting, because of the parallel shots. Then we see even the bells, like some of the bells start falling on Arya. Then as Arya runs, she thinks, I think I'm going to repot some of these plants so they don't get mowed. But then as she runs and drops them. Cersei and Jaime, they realize that this is like they're in the attic. They say, "Oh, we're going to sneak out this way," and they say, "Oh, we can't sneak out." So they're back. They sit back on their beds or whatever, and they say, "Let's comfort one another," because they hear the mower going and everything. It's not easy. Cersei just lost, what she thought she had. And they say, "Remember the good days in here? We had just some good days." We hear the song, they think again. Yeah, nothing. They say, Jamie says, "Nothing else matters. So let's just be here together and comfort one another." And then they get like proverbial, I can't say proverbial. They get kissed by geese, basically, metaphorically kissed by geese. As we hear Rain's Casimir, potted plants crying. I don't know what that means, but I'm sure the potted plants were crying when they saw this. I don't know, honestly. They stay forever. Potted plants crying. What else would start with a P? I guess that is potted plants. I don't think so, though. But yeah, there's another shot. After that is something. Arya. Maybe she saw the plants that she dropped. Then Arya walking through what was once a garden. Oh, yeah, this is the end of the episode. So basically, after Jamie and Cersei get kissed proverbially by geese, we see Arya walking through. So this is a post-garden scene here. No garden left. No flowers, no weeds, no grass. But there's floating things in the air. Very, very cinematic. She's walking through. You could say flowers no more. Garden no more. And then she sees this one swan standing there, waiting for her, which is strange, but the swan is covered in grass and clumps of mud and stuff. And she gets on the back of the swan, giant swan, by the way. Sorry about that. And the swan waddles off with her on it. Maybe it's a duck. I guess probably was a duck. Now I'm thinking about it. White duck. Probably, maybe not a swan because she put her hands around its neck. And that concludes, that was the end of the movie. The credits rolled. It just faded out with Arya, or the character that to me represented Arya. So all in all, it was like a lot happened, I guess, and we got one more episode together. I don't know, again, what will this week holds for me. Maybe somebody will call me and say, "There's a part 3, Flowers in the Attic 3, Weeds in the Garden." I guess that was probably what it was called. Again, I didn't take the time to, there's no recording allowed. Otherwise, I would have taken, recording of some of this stuff. But thanks, everybody, who let me into that screening and let me know about it so I could compare. And, yeah, so that's a little bit about, we got plenty more content here. We got Tom and Pounce. We got the prayers, old gods, and the new. So I'm here to keep you company. And, yeah, don't worry. It'll be concluded in a satisfactory way, just like this movie was. You're riding away off to dreamland, waddling off on the back of a swan, just like Arya did. Good night. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and friends beyond the binary, welcome to a daily scheduled but surprisingly good and out of the blue. We're interrupting your regular scheduled programming with some regularly scheduled programming. Here on K-Pounce Radio, the radio of best friends and cats and kids everywhere. K-Pounce Radio, the radio of best friendship. And now we present the adventures of the brave, of the courageous, and of the two of best friendship. The adventures of Tom and Pounce in the world of noir Chardonnay. K-Pounce Radio. Yes, it was this Tommen here. Sir Tommen, as I was once known, and now just Tommen. One name. Here with my best friend, Sir Pounce, in my lap at this time, behind my desk. A clock on the wall behind me. not ticking because, again, I've bought another clock to wind. But Sir Bounce is sitting here, and when we're in an office, when my phone rings, now this took a bit of explaining for me, and then a bit of explaining for you, because a phone, in your world, they try to limit my screen time when I'm Mikey, you see. I guess I would just say it's a communications device. It's a phone. And it rings, and someone says nothing. I say, hello, hello. And they say, is this Tom and Pounce? And I say, specifically, this is Tom, and so Pounce is here in my lap, though. Well, what could we do you for? And they say, I think I'm looking for you, but I can't find you. And I said, oh, okay, what do you, there's something familiar in your voice. And they said, yes, there is something familiar in my voice. And I said, what do you call yourself? You know who I am. You have me at a disposition. You have me, what do they call me Jesus. Oh, Jesus, I like the sound of that. It's familiar but different. And where should we meet? Well, I'm at the Down and Out Cafe right now. What do you say you meet me here? Well, actually, I prefer not, because I've eaten there before, and it's subpar. But what I could meet you at is someplace a little grittier. There is a place where there used to be this new pastime here, subpar golf. It was indoor mini golf, putting, actually. But I think that's where we should meet. It's no longer in business, but Noir Chardonnay's working on a new business there, and so I have a key. So I'll meet you out back in the alley behind subpar golf, okay? I'll see you then. And so we went, and Sir Pounce and I, we headed out to the city known by a million names, but it could be summarized in just one. In the day, it was one of those hot days in the city. Hot in the summertime, humid, hazy. I'll say it, heckalacious even. But Sir Bounce and I, we headed down to Subpar. We actually headed in the front door because this was a move. I said, Sir Bounce, I'd prefer not to go. And then we opened up, and then we closed the front door and put the blinds down so no one would say, could we come in and play mini golf? That's actually how Noir Chardonnay ended up purchasing it. I'd said, I would love to, what is this in here? Is this grass for me to lie on? And they said, we're no longer in business. And no, I get in the Noir Chardonnay said, interesting. So it explained to me the whole thing. Putt-putt. It was someone, anyway, we went in there. I opened the back door and as soon as I was going to just cut to the chase, but when I opened the door, standing there in the doorway against the sun and sky, I'm not sure to be honest, I wasn't sure if I was looking at a man or a god. I was just stunned and overwhelmed with feelings of both envy and aspiration as the person. And I said, are you Jesus? I said, hey, who? And then I said, are you Jesus? And they said, yes, I am. And I said, I hope you're comfortable with me saying you're very, and they said, thank you. And I said, come on in. Welcome to Subpar. Please close the door behind you. And as they closed the door and the lights in the Subpar, it changed from the light from the sun from outside. The person, he looked a little grittier, he looked a little tired, but he still had that, where I just said, whoa, what would life be like for this person compared to me? This person, people probably smile when they come in and, a whole thing. I went on a whole tangent and they said, excuse me. And I said, oh, okay, why don't you join Sir Pounce and me for a round of mini golf? and tell me what's happening, Jesus. And they said, okay. And we started to play. And now this was like not everything was working correctly. The first one was a mailbox. You try to roll the ball, and then you make it jump. And then the mailbox, if you get it in, it goes down the pole holding the mailbox, and you get a hole in one. Also, the flag pops up when you get it in there. It's a cool effect. If you miss, you just drop down to lower level where the greens are. I was explaining this to Jesus, and Jesus didn't ever play it. It wasn't a popular game, mini golf in my world, in the world of Noir Chardonnay. But we started to play, and above our heads, the lights flickered, and the sun set. Dust was drifting in and out of the light, making it look like a precipitation almost. And it ended up just like, of course, that this person made a hole in one on the first try. And again, I said, well, oh, by the way, you can own the maximum number of shots you could take is 5. And we went on to the next hole, and they said, do you keep score? So I did good. The lower score is the better. And I said, part of it is just having fun. Also, you could lie on the grass, that's something too. And Sapounce likes going in and out of the different features. The next one was like a pinball game. And again, you had to get it right in the middle to get a hole in one. And I said, this is based on another game, a pinball, where a ball gets bounced around, doesn't know where it's going. It knows what you like. And Jesus said, I know how that feels. And I said, I'm sure it looks like you do. A beautiful gleaming silver ball, or a golden ball, if you wanted to, and it goes, I think it's silver though, because it's more reflective. Getting bounced around, all around. But then you say, well, isn't that the point of the game? Another hole in one, this Jesus got. And again, I actually got a 4. So I was doing better than myself. Then we went into one that was kind of boring. Like you try to roll it over a fake river, and you could fall into the river, and then you go over like you're jumping a broken bridge, I guess is what I'm saying. And if you jump a broken bridge into a covered bridge, you could get a hole in one, which Jesus did first. And I said, Ma, you're pretty good at this golfing. You kind of look like, from my understanding, you may look a bit like a golfer. Or Jesus said, thanks, but I thought I was here to get some help. And I said, yeah, why don't we just lie on the grass instead of playing the game over at this hole, because it has a bit of this is the one with the longest green or fairway or whatever. And I said, also, this one has these mounds, which are good. They're hard to get up, and then the ball rolls back down, but they're good for holding your head up. And so we lied next to each other, Jesus and I, Sapounce patrolling around us, studying Jesus. And I said, even Sapounce is checking out this Jesus. And I said, why don't you tell me? They said, it's strange, looking at you, you'd think, look at how easy Jesus took up a golf and you just hit all those holes in one, a natural. But then I see a look in your between your forehead and your actual eyes, something happening there in your brow that tells me you're not quite sure if you're even good at it or not, and you're not having fun at all. And you wish you were somewhere else where you don't wish you would be. And I said, is that what your forehead is doing? And Jesus said, you tell me. And I said, it is what it is doing. And I said, I think that there's, what I've heard is that that's a place people hold tension, Jesus. And I said, I've learned a technique, though. And I got some golf balls. And, this is part of my technique. See,
of noir shot. I said, actually, noir Chardonnay did teach me this. And I just got some of the golf balls, and I showed him how to massage his forehead with the golf balls. Not as comfortable as massaging your back. But I said, do it gently, and it will release some of that tension in there. I said, the red ball is particularly good, and the purple ball for the kind of tension you seem to be experiencing. And he said, what kind of tension? And I said, you're in conflict. You forgot how, I said, it's complicated. I said, I don't even understand it myself, to be honest, Jesus. I said, I think this is a very, all you could say is it's a very confusing situation for more than one person, though, I think is where you've turned away. Do you understand what I'm saying? And Jesus said, no. And I said, okay, let me explain it to you. And I said, let's walk the course. Let's get up. And we started to walk the course. And I said, let's just imagine that at every hole, you got a hole in one. Hole 3, hole 4, hole 5. And here I was getting 4s and 5s, maybe a 3, maybe even a hole in one. In the one where you're trying to make it look like you're, with the CLOWN, because that one I seem to be more focused on. And I said, let's just say you play, and then you start to think, you start to think just about getting these holes in one. And maybe this helps Subpar stay in business, because they say, look at that man getting all the holes in one. I want to golf where he golfs. And somehow it becomes this relationship, right? You come here. You hit, you think you're having fun, but you have to keep hitting holes in one. And he said, I'm confused. And I said, well, it's a confusing situation. But here's the thing, Jesus. The whole time you were playing with a boy named Tommen. All that time. And he said, and I forgot. I said, I don't know if you forgot, but you may have been distracted. Distraction upon distraction upon distraction, right? Because you have the situation, which we'll never speak of other than to say that ever again, or even refer to it in any manner. See? And then you have the feelings, but then there's multiple layers of confusion, and then you don't know how to feel about it. Then you have the multiple distractions of feelings about the confusing things. And you could even probably say to yourself occasionally, I don't even know why I'm hitting these balls in the hole. Or, oh boy, I didn't realize that was, oh boy. You don't even know why you're putting, you don't even know why you're playing this game. It's not the Game of Thrones. It's another much straight. There was a man who drank good giant's milk. And I said to myself, what in the hay? So, here you find yourself with hole after hole of golf played successfully. And you had a boy next to you, and you never even noticed he was playing with you, watching you. And not, and also your feelings, no offense, you can't keep them, they're vibrating all around you. The whole golf place, your handsomeness can't just mask everything. To cut to the chase. And then he smiled at me and threw his hair back, and I forgot for a while what we were talking about, because I said, and then he said, hey, let's go look in the mirror, noticing something about you. And we went and looked in the mirror, and he started to show me, he said, I think your hair could be like mine. And I said, no, never. And he said, let's go. Would you prefer to practice some? Because he was like, I noticed something about your golf swing, too. And I said, no. I'd like to, what golf? No. If I could have this hair. And he said, listen, I'm sorry. I didn't realize, that you were, goes, I gotta, and I said, it's probably something beyond apology, but
But moving forward in this world, maybe you and I could, maybe you could teach me about my hair. And just that way when you're looking and it looks like your brain is empty. I have that feeling sometimes, but the look on my face, someone once said it's dunsical, where even I, makes me sigh, even though I have no business sighing. I do. So maybe you could, and he said, I'd like to teach you about those things. Let's go get your hair cut, and I could teach you about flicking your hair. And maybe we could just be friends. And I said, maybe we could just be friends. And we set off, the two of us, into the night, the dark, the night was hazy now with the heat and the humidity hanging over it. We closed the door on that chapter. And we were, oh boy, now, I don't want to brag here, but you've never, once I was a detective, now I have great hair. I didn't realize it. He just said, well, if you just do this, and he even showed me in a true way, he said, we have the same hair. It's just a matter of styling and of your self-possession. He's still giving me those lessons, and he said, you don't have to, he goes, you don't have to think it, you just have to know it. And then he said, maybe shake it. And I said, okay. So that's an update for now. Yeah, I'll talk to you soon. See you in another world of, thank you for joining us on K-Pounce Radio, radio of cats and kids and best friends everywhere. It's time for my prayers to God's old and new, and newer. Crone, Sweet Crone, Miller Smith, Barky, Jester, Hound Dog God. It's I, your humble servant, and now more ways than one. You're, in some sense, an employee, or what do you call it? What do you call it when you're a camper? You're camper. Sorry, guys, it just sounds so funny. It really makes me sound like I should have like elastic pants, like elastic waistband pants, and a sleeping bag, holding a sleeping bag over my shoulder. I don't know why I have that image either, guys. Don't worry. If there's well, that's a question, guys. I didn't even think about this. Crone, Sweet Crone, Miller Smith, Barky, Jester, Hound Dog God. Is there going to be uniforms at this camp? I don't think usually you get a T-shirt. Crone, what do you think? Are you going to have like issues on length of shorts? Because shorts nowadays are, oh boy, are they short? Not on me. But there's a lot of people wear short shorts nowadays, Crone. Okay, well, let me get to the point, because that's not what I'm good at. But we only have our time together on this audio podcast is short, and on unless I'm watching you on repeats. And so really formalizing our connection here through this summer camp where I'll be a camper, one of your campers. I feel like I just like I really feel like at least 30, 40, 50. I mean, even I feel younger, Crone. And the rest of you. That wasn't just because it was age, it wasn't just directed at you, Crone. It was just you're the top of the list. So I believe it or not, I have been thinking since the last time we spoke, gods, nor sometimes that doesn't always happen, or praying. But I wanted to talk to you. So let's go over our goals, because I don't know if we have any. Don't think I'm reviewing things because I don't have anything. So our goal is to have a summer camp where yearly I would have a yearly reason to I don't know, what is it called, supplicate, being supplicants, remind me, spiritual connection. You're right, spiritual growth, like a yearly reminder that of all my spiritual progress. Why? I may be in a good mood today. I don't know what it is. It's just I'm infused with your spirits, gods. Jester, are you tickling me or something? Barky, is that you? But anyway, so the goal is to have a summer camp so I can stay connected to you. Because otherwise, it'll be just those humble reminders we call real life. And sometimes those I can say, oh, shoot, shucks, with a lot more sailor-like words instead of saying, thank you, Crone, Miller, Smith, Barkey, Chester, for once again humbling me and reminding me. So summer camp is a way to do that, but fun. You skin your knee. And at summer camp, you say, well, let's go to the canteen. Let's rub some dirt in it. Go for a swim. Come to I guess we didn't have a place for that, but we'll have that. Don't worry. Maiden, that's right. We don't have, I don't want to, it's just, I guess I don't want to put myself, but if I scrape my knee, it really here's the thing, mate. Now I'll work there. You scrape your knee, believe me, I'll be there. Do you prefer isopropyl or the other stuff, peroxide? Because I got my cotton swabs ready. Cotton swabs at the ready. Sorry, I got off topic there. So, oh God, so we're gonna have a summer camp where we can connect. Where all the other people, people without the people that also will eventually praise you once they catches on. I mean, maybe not having the most successful TV show or one of the most successful ones, water cooler television that I know of hasn't. I don't know if you knew this, but that's sometimes why I'm a little bit confident is, well, you probably know more than me how many people are praying in other than me. And I don't want to get smoted, but, yeah, sorry guys. I guess this is why I do need to be humbled. You're right, Crone. Anyway, guys, the original goal for this conversation, since it's our second to last one before summer camp, was to think of a commercial. Because I said, and this is a brainstorming technique. We're not actually going to make a commercial for the summer camp, because if the gods old and new are there, who would need a commercial, especially if you hit the right price target? Because ideally we'll be going for that, the competitive price. Because like I said a couple of years ago, my cousins told me how much the summer camp we used to go to cost. And I looked at my daughter and I said, I love you. But maybe I just missed the mark. It was very affordable is what I'm saying. But so, yeah, we wanted, and we want people that don't have the means to get there to be able to do that. But that's not what the commercial's about. That's in our mission statement that one day it'll be written around year 40 of the summer camp. And then I was thinking about the name, but I prefer the name of the camp come up organically. Also, I just didn't have a good catchy name, and I didn't want to, I think, if one thing I've learned, you gods deserve good names. Crone, you came, whoever, the first, the Andals or whatever named you. And I think the rest in the Smith, probably the Andals, so I don't know, first of their name said, hey, Smith, the warrior. Oh boy, that warrior. Hey, get your own, hey, warrior, here's something. Get your own summer camp, we make moon pies at this summer camp, not we make horseshoes. So that's what's forged at our summer camp. So that could be in the commercial. But the idea of coming up with a commercial, gods, a television advertisement is just to help us brainstorm. I don't know if you've done that technique. I don't know if I've done that technique. I should have come up with a commercial for all of you. Maybe then there'd be more people praying in other than just me. And of course, there's probably other billions of people doing it. Just no one gets a hold of me and says, Scoots, I pray. Well, Barkey, no offense, other gods, Barkey, you are really popular with the listeners. Sometimes listeners contact me in your name. Crone, usually I get messages about, in your defense, they say, hey, are you? And I say, no, I'm praising the Crone. So the other gods, you deserve all the attention. You don't, you deserve more, you deserve a summer camp with the commercial. And I guess I ate up most of our time for the commercial talking, which of course you would know that was going to happen anyway, gods. But so it'd just be a summary of the summer camp, like bask under the trees, Barky. It would probably do that, forge your team building skills, near Forge. Also, there's a place called Old Forge, which, we may be able, my dad knows somebody who lives there. But yeah, forge your team building, forge, a strong, we'd come up with something about self-esteem, kindness, forge bonds that'll last a lifetime. And then you say the name of the camp, connect to nature, to trees, with something high in the sky, yet roots grounded deep in the earth. Barky. Learn to eat well, to prepare food with your community members, and the effort that goes in, to all state, something like that, Barky. Sorry, Miller. This is sounding more and more like there used to be this thing, Club Med, I think it was called, or something, where families of means would go. This isn't what we're shooting for, but something like that was the Miller. Eat 3 squares a day, and bale your own hay. The Miller. I know Miller. This is why it's brainstorming. And, right, I have a brainstorm, so it's hard for me to brainstorm. So, Crone, learn to respect the wisdom of your elders. Take lessons from your past and use them to gild your future at the Crone. Establish a vision for what you might want to be. If we had 4 values, there's 4-H camp, Crone, Miller, Smith, Parker, Jester. I forget what the 4-H is. Horticulture, horses. I think horses are at least 2 or 3 of the 4-H's are horses. Horticulture. I love 4-H. I'm just not a member, and I don't know what the H's are. And I know you could reach out to me and let me know. But horticulture, because I get to meet the 4 kids from 4-H at the Great New York State Fair, and I know probably horses isn't one of them, but just something I associate with. What do you 4-H is horses, horticulture building, horses, and wholesome fun. Yes. So Crone, could you keep the 4-H from smoting me? Just do me a favor. Put up anti-smote thing over me. All apologies. I'm always incorrect. It's Scoots here. So, but they have 4 values. I'm not aware of what they are, is what I was going to say. Health maybe is one of them. I don't know if happiness would be one. Because I don't know for our camp, we all know, gods, that, happiness is in the sweat on the grindstone, reality, not on the nostalgia you bathe yourself in when you think of InDesign summer camps, and nostalgically look to the future in some sense and imagine you're going to, anyway, God. So back to the commercial, learn to perform, something, the performance artist within you, clown around and, learn informed practices at the same time, team building and, the jester. And then maybe for Hound Dog, sometimes life can just be a real drag. Sometimes life takes a turn that's unexpected. You fall down and skin your knee. What's Scooter doing with the maiden? No, back to the commercial. And sometimes you fall down and skin your knee. It's what's important is not how many times you get knocked down, but how many times you get back up. Hound Dog God. I think that's it, guys. I really ate up a lot of time without, talking to you and prayer, just praying and, general praise, and check-ins. But that would be the general gist of it. I think the idea, for the most part, it's like, we just got to put the and Mittman for next week. Last week together, guys, on a formal basis. But thanks for hearing me out. It's always an honor. And I think you get the idea, guys. Really, I'm trying to sell you on. Also, Barkey, did you purchase any land or acquire it by whatever eminent rights? Or is it, if you're a holy, like, is it your eminence, right? So your eminence rights, instead of eminent domain, I mean, it's all in the domain of your eminence. Am I just mincing my words, Sparky? But if you actually did acquire any camps, preferably one with a completed maintenance schedule and all that, in some areas, modern amenities would be nice. Especially restrooms. We don't want to skimp on that. Okay, guys, it's just me, your humble servant. Every day is a treasure. Good night. I want to thank everybody that reviewed the show on Apple Podcasts recently. GREWS from the UK said, amazing. Normally I'm tossing and turning all night, but Scoot's slurred words and his tangents are amazing and let me sleep straight away. Esram Novd said, yes, always had trouble sleeping as long as you can remember. Friend told me about this podcast is life-changing. If I'm not asleep before it even starts, I'm dozing off in like 5 minutes. Make it your routine. Olive Cat, bonus episode. Thanks for the bonus episode. I love it. Thanks, Olive Cat. M. Bish said, works consistently for bad insomnia. After trying guided meditation and other sleep podcasts, this is the most effective and unique. The loosely structured, meandering narratives and droning voices scoots untie the knot of chronic anxiety and tension that get in the way of sleep. In a way I can't explain, the stories without any ending, a hallmark of the podcast, distract your mind just long enough that you become relaxed and drift into sleep. Nothing short of a miracle. Jess of the BUGS says, don't know how it ends. I've never successfully listened to an entire episode. More soporific than chamomile tea. Legitimate, the son of hypnosis and sleeping beauty. Thanks. Johnny F says, it works. I'm bad at sleeping. This podcast helps with the nights where I'm especially bad. I wish I could tell you what it's actually about. I'm normally asleep, though. Belieber Bizzle. Hey, this person's a believer. This hands down one of my favorite podcasts. His voice is relaxing and helps take my mind off of things. Thanks. Perlita P says, thank you. You keep me company. You're brilliant. A little bit of wit. Always friendly. Do you believe in life after love? Thanks for your hard work and perseverance. B. Marsh says, took a couple of times listening, but I'm hooked. Pretty good podcast. Thanks for helping me fall asleep. Blueface says, the original snoozecast, except no substitutes. Hurricane Elisa says, finally able to sleep, dealing with some stuff, and the podcast to help me sleep. It's not easy. Jen Coco says, thanks for everything. Until a couple of months ago, I had trouble sleeping. Then I found sleep with me. I don't know what I'd do without Scooter. 97% of the time I fall asleep. Thanks a lot. Wiffle King, best intro. I can't write a review. Best intros ever. Can't write a review about the show because I'm never awake past the intro. My home and life work schedule is so sporadic. That getting to sleep's a challenge. It's tough to wind down. After a few hours, I put on Scoots. And no BS, I crash out every single time before a story starts. Scoots mellow tone. Oh, at least I think I'm asleep by then. Maybe it did start. I don't know, and I don't care. Scoots mellow tone. Mellow tonin', huh? See what I did there? It's a lifesaver. Thank you. Easy Wizard says Alfred F. Is he a hypnotist? I don't know. All I could say is it works. Skeptical at first, but curious. Gave it a shot. And to my surprise, I slept like a toddler. I've listened to the podcast every night for the past week. Bibstagram says, I love reading the bad reviews because they're the exact reasons I love the show. Thanks, Bibstagram. Intro song puts me to sleep. Scoots' voice dulls my inner voice. Keeps me up at night. Now get excited to get into bed and drown out the day with pointless meanders. Thank you. Adriellosaurus says, I love this guy. Voice is boring. Stories hilarious yet boring. Great job at rambling. And the tidbits you do catch are always interesting. Gives you something to focus on, but still something not important. I started listening when I was having a hard time sleeping when I was traveling. I listen every night. It's the point where I hear his voice, I'm instantly relaxed. I'm out by a 30-minute mark, which is much better than before. Fun with Owen says, so good this podcast puts me to sleep. I used to had trouble falling asleep, but now with your podcast, I can. It took 3 tries, and I loved it. Thank you, Scooter. Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody, for supporting the show by writing reviews. Sleep With Me actually exists because of listener support. You can support the show directly on Patreon, sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron, or by supporting our sponsors. That's how we keep the show free for everybody. Show also, people find out about it by word of mouth. Your word of mouth is incredibly powerful. Just let someone know about it and share your honest experience. Sleep With Me is a proud member of Night Vale Presents, and one podcast that had 3 amazing series and an amazing book is sleepily titled Alice Isn't on the Big Farm in the Sky. And if you like kind of a mystery mixed with road trip and travel, journey across America, with a edge of mystery, check out Alice Isn't Living on the Big Farm in the Sky. One of my favorite podcasts. We also did a crossover a while back. Alice Isn't at Brunch, I think it was called. But check it out at nightvalepresents.com because then you can see the real title. Sleep With Me is also a proud member of Night Vale Presents and PRX. You can see everything they're doing at prx.org. There's plenty of other episodes ready to go if you need them. I'm here. Good night.